There's something I want you to understand today, something that can change the entire direction of your life if you truly accept it, not just hear it, but believe it. The future you are hoping for, the life you are dreaming about, the success you keep imagining, it is not controlled by luck, it is not controlled by other people, and it is certainly not controlled by circumstances. It is controlled by one person, you. And yet, the biggest obstacle standing between you and that future is also you. Doubt is a silent destroyer. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you maybe you're not ready. It suggests, what if you fail? It convinces you to wait, to hesitate, to play small. And over time, if you listen to it long enough, it begins to feel like truth. But let me tell you something clearly. Doubt has no power of its own. It only has the power you give it. Every great achievement begins with a decision to believe that something is possible. Before anything is built in the physical world, it is first built in the mind. If you cannot see it for yourself, if you cannot believe you are capable, then no opportunity, no resource, no connection will ever be enough. You must become the kind of person who trusts your own potential, even when there is no evidence yet. Think about it. The person you will be 5 years from now is shaped by the decisions you make today. Not someday, not when everything feels perfect, but right now. The books you read, the habits you build, the risks you take, the discipline you practice, these are the keys that unlock your future. And here's the truth most people avoid. You cannot create a better life while constantly doubting yourself. Self-doubt makes you hesitate when you should act. It makes you overthink when you should decide. It keeps you stuck in preparation while others move forward with imperfect action. And over time, it steals your confidence, your energy, and your momentum. But confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build. You build it by doing the things you said you would do. You build it by keeping small promises to yourself. You build it by taking action even when you feel uncertain. Because every time you act in spite of doubt, you weaken it. And every time you follow through, you strengthen your belief in yourself. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Willing to try. Willing to fail. Willing to learn. Willing to grow. Because growth does not come from comfort. It comes from stretching yourself beyond what feels safe. It comes from stepping into situations where you might not have all the answers, but you trust yourself enough to figure it out along the way. Your future is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for commitment. Too many people spend their lives waiting for the right time. They wait until they feel confident, until they have more knowledge, until circumstances improve. But the truth is, the right time is created by action, not by waiting. You become ready by starting. And once you start, something powerful happens. You begin to see progress. Small at first, but meaningful. And that progress fuels belief. And that belief fuels more action. And before you know it, you are no longer the person who doubted, you are the person who does. You are the key, not your background, not your past mistakes, not other people's opinions, not the economy, not luck. You. The way you think, the way you act, the standards you set, the discipline you practice, the beliefs you choose to hold. If you believe you can grow, you will find a way. If you believe you can improve, you will take action. If you believe you are capable, you will become capable. But if you continue to doubt yourself, you will unconsciously limit every opportunity that comes your way. So make a decision today. Decide that you are done underestimating yourself. Decide that your potential is worth exploring. Decide that your future deserves your full effort. Because the life you want is not reserved for a special few. It is available to those who are willing to believe in themselves enough to pursue it. You don't need permission. You don't need guarantees. You don't need perfect conditions. You need belief. You need action. You need consistency. And most importantly, you need to stop doubting the one person who has the greatest influence over your life. Look at your future not as something uncertain, but as something you are actively creating. Every day, with every choice, you are writing your story. So write it with confidence. Write it with courage. Write it with the belief that you are capable of far more than you have ever allowed yourself to imagine. Because once you truly understand this, once you stop doubting and start believing, you unlock something powerful within yourself. And that is the moment your life begins to change. Self-doubt is one of the most subtle yet powerful barriers that can shape a person's entire life without them even realizing it. It does not appear as something obvious or external. Instead, it grows silently within the mind, often disguised as caution, logic, or being realistic. At first, it seems harmless. It tells you to wait a little longer, to prepare a bit more, to avoid taking unnecessary risks. But over time, this same voice begins to limit your actions, shrink your confidence, and reduce your willingness to step into opportunities. The real danger of self-doubt is not that it exists, but that it feels believable. It sounds reasonable. When you are about to take a step forward, it asks questions like, what if you fail? Or what if you are not good enough? And if you listen to it repeatedly, you start accepting it as truth. Slowly, your decisions begin to change. You hesitate where you should act. You overthink where you should move forward. You delay where you should begin. And without noticing, your potential starts getting buried under hesitation. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they doubt their capability before even trying. Self-doubt creates a mental image of failure before reality even has a chance to unfold. It makes you experience defeat in your imagination long before you face the actual challenge. And once the mind accepts that imagined defeat, the body follows it with inaction. But what you must understand is this: self-doubt is not a fact, it is a habit of thought. And anything that is learned can be unlearned. You were not born questioning your worth or your ability. These patterns were developed through experiences, environments, comparisons, criticism, and past failures. The mind recorded those moments and turned them into beliefs. And now those beliefs replay themselves whenever you are about to step outside your comfort zone. The first step in overcoming self-doubt is awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. You must begin to observe your thoughts instead of blindly obeying them. When doubt appears, don't immediately accept it. Pause and question it. Ask yourself whether it is based on truth or fear. Most of the time you will find that it is only fear trying to protect you from discomfort, not reality trying to warn you of danger. The second step is action. Self-doubt weakens when you act despite it. Confidence is not the absence of doubt, it is the decision to move forward in its presence. Every small action you take against hesitation sends a message to your mind. I am capable. And over time, these actions begin to rewire your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who cannot and start seeing yourself as someone who tries, learns, and improves. Another important truth is that self-doubt grows in inactivity and shrinks in movement. When you stay idle, your mind has more space to create fears and imagine failures. But when you stay engaged, focused, and disciplined, there is less room for doubt to dominate your thinking. Action brings clarity, and clarity builds confidence. You must also understand that failure does not confirm self-doubt, it challenges it. Every failure is not proof that you are incapable, it is proof that you are learning. People who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure define them. Instead of interpreting failure as a stop sign, they treat it as feedback. And that shift in interpretation changes everything. Ultimately, self-doubt loses its power when you stop identifying with it. You are not your doubts. You are the one observing them. And the moment you realize that you regain control, your future is not decided by the presence of doubt, but by your response to it. Expand the keynote to don't add heading and speaker name up to 700 words. Belief is one of the most powerful forces that shapes a human life, yet it is also one of the most underestimated. Most people assume that their circumstances determine their future, where they were born, what resources they have, who supports them, or what opportunities come their way. But in reality, circumstances are only the starting point. They may influence your situation, but they do not define your direction. What truly defines your direction is what you believe about yourself and what you believe is possible. Belief acts like a lens through which you see the world. Two people can be placed in the same environment, facing the same challenges, and yet experience completely different outcomes. One person sees limitation, while the other sees possibility. One interprets obstacles as reasons to stop, while the other interprets them as reasons to grow. The difference is not external, it is internal. It is belief. When you believe something is possible, your mind begins to search for ways to make it happen. You become more observant, more creative, and more willing to act. Opportunities that once seemed invisible suddenly become noticeable. Solutions that once felt impossible begin to appear. This is because belief does not just influence. Emotion, it influences perception. It changes what you pay attention to and what you ignore. On the other hand, when you believe something is not possible, your mind does the opposite. It begins to filter out opportunities. It focuses on limitations. It magnifies risks and minimizes potential. Even when opportunities are directly in front of you, you may not recognize them because your belief system has already decided they are not meant for you. In this way, belief quietly shapes the boundaries of your world. The most important part to understand is that beliefs are not fixed truths. They are learned patterns of thinking. Many of the beliefs people carry about themselves were not chosen consciously. They were absorbed over time through experiences, upbringing, environment, and repetition. A single failure, if interpreted incorrectly, can become the belief that I am not good enough. A single criticism can become the belief that I am not capable. And once these beliefs are repeated internally over time, they begin to feel like identity. But identity is not something you discover, it is something you create. And because beliefs form the foundation of identity, changing your beliefs is one of the most powerful transformations you can make. When you change what you believe about yourself, you change what you are willing to attempt. And when you change what you are willing to attempt, you change what you are able to achieve. Belief does not mean blind optimism. It does not mean ignoring reality or pretending challenges do not exist. True belief is active. It is the decision to trust your ability to grow through challenges rather than be stopped by them. It is the understanding that you may not have all the answers today, but you are capable of finding them through effort, learning, and persistence. This is why belief is so closely connected to action. Belief without action remains only a thought. But when belief is combined with action, it becomes momentum. Each step you take reinforces what you believe about yourself. If you act with confidence, you begin to build confidence. If you act with discipline, you begin to build discipline. If you act with courage, you begin to build courage. In this way, belief and behavior strengthen each other. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for circumstances to improve before they believe in themselves. They wait for success before they feel confident. They wait for opportunities before they feel capable. But in reality, it works in the opposite direction. Belief must come first. You must first decide what kind of life you are capable of living, and then begin acting in alignment with that belief, even if your current situation has not yet caught up. Over time, consistent belief-backed action begins to reshape your circumstances. Not immediately, but gradually, your skills improve, your mindset strengthens, your opportunities expand, and what once felt far away begins to move closer. This is how transformation actually happens, not through sudden change, but through steady alignment between belief and behavior. Ultimately, your future is not written by your current situation. It is written by what you consistently believe about yourself and what you consistently do because of those beliefs. When you change your belief system, you change your expectations. When you change your expectations, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, you change your entire life. Confidence is not something that arrives before action, it is something that is created through action. This is one of the most important truths for anyone who wants to grow, succeed, or change their life. Many people misunderstand confidence. They believe confident people are naturally fearless, that they were born with certainty, or that they somehow always know what they are doing. But in reality, confidence is not the starting point. It is the result of repeated effort, experience, and self-trust built over time. At the beginning of any journey, uncertainty is normal. When you try something new, you rarely feel fully ready. There is hesitation, doubt, and a sense of discomfort. This is where most people stop. They assume that because they do not feel confident, they are not capable. But this assumption is what keeps them stuck. The truth is, confidence does not come from thinking, it comes from doing. Every time you take action, even when you feel unsure, you send a message to your mind: I can handle this. The first attempt may not be perfect. The result may not be ideal. But something important happens, you gain experience. And experience is the foundation of confidence. The second attempt becomes slightly easier than the first. The third becomes more familiar than the second. Over time, what once felt intimidating begins to feel manageable. This is how confidence is built step by step, action by action, repetition by repetition. It is not a sudden transformation, it is a gradual accumulation of proof that you can try, proof that you can learn, proof that you can improve. Each small success adds weight to your self-belief. Each completed task strengthens your internal trust. The problem is that many people wait for confidence before they act instead of acting to build confidence. They delay opportunities because they do not feel ready. They avoid challenges because they fear failure. They postpone growth because they want certainty first. But certainty is not something you wait for, it is something you create through engagement with life. Think about any skill in life. Whether it is speaking, building, learning, or leading, nobody starts as an expert. Everyone begins with uncertainty. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stuck is not talented as willingness. Willingness to try, willingness to fail, and willingness to keep going despite discomfort. Failure plays a crucial role in building confidence. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. It shows you what does not work, which is just as important as knowing what does work. But more importantly, it teaches you that failure is survivable. Once you experience failure, and realize you are still capable of continuing, your fear begins to weaken. You stop seeing failure as an identity and start seeing it as feedback. As you continue taking action, something powerful begins to change internally. Your focus shifts from fear to progress. Instead of asking, what if I fail, you begin asking, what can I improve? This shift in thinking is what separates hesitation from growth. Confidence grows in environments where learning is prioritized over perfection. Another important aspect of confidence is keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and actually do it, you strengthen your self-trust. And self-trust is the core of true confidence. It is not about how others see you, it is about how reliably you show up for yourself. Even small commitments matter. Waking up on time, completing a task, finishing what you start, these actions slowly build an internal sense of reliability. On the other hand, when you repeatedly break promises to yourself, confidence weakens. You begin to doubt your ability to follow through. You start second-guessing your decisions. This is why discipline is so closely connected to confidence. Discipline is the bridge between intention and action, and every time you cross that bridge, your confidence grows stronger. Over time, confidence becomes less about emotion and more about evidence. It is no longer a feeling you wait for, it becomes a reality you have built. You do not feel confident because everything is perfect. You feel confident because you have proven to yourself that you can handle imperfection. Ultimately, confidence is not reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone willing to take action despite uncertainty. It is built in moments of discomfort, strengthened through repetition, and solidified through persistence. And once you understand this, you realize that confidence was never something you were missing, it was something you were always capable of creating. Your future is not something that simply happens to you, it is something you actively create through your daily choices, habits, and decisions. Many people look at successful individuals and assume that success is the result of luck, timing, or external advantages. But what is often overlooked is the consistent internal process behind that success. It is built on discipline, responsibility, and the willingness to take ownership of one's life. At the core of shaping your future is the understanding that you are the primary influence in your own life. While you cannot control every external event, you can always control your response, your effort, and your direction. Every decision you make today is like a small seed planted into the future. Some seeds grow into strength, opportunity, and success. Others grow into regret, limitation, and missed potential. The difference lies in awareness and consistency. Habits play a central role in this process. Your habits are not just actions you repeat, they are systems that determine your long-term results. Small habits, when repeated consistently, accumulate into significant outcomes. A person who reads daily may not see immediate transformation, but over time, their thinking expands. A person who practices discipline in small tasks builds the foundation for handling larger responsibilities. A person who consistently avoids effort gradually limits their own potential without realizing it. What makes habits so powerful is that they eventually become automatic. What you repeatedly do begins to define who you are. If you repeatedly act with discipline, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. If you repeatedly avoid challenges, you begin to see yourself as incapable. This identity formation is subtle but extremely powerful because your identity shapes your decisions and your decisions shape your future. Responsibility is another key factor in creating your future. Taking responsibility means refusing to blame external circumstances for your current situation. It means acknowledging that while you may not control everything, you always control something: your effort, your attitude, and your next step. This mindset shifts you from being a passive observer of your life to an active participant in it. When you take responsibility, you gain power. Blame weakens you because it places control outside of yourself. Responsibility strengthens you because it places control back in your hands. Even in difficult situations, the ability to ask, "What can I do now?" is what keeps you moving forward. That question alone separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. Discipline is the structure that holds everything together. Without discipline, motivation fades quickly and intentions remain unfulfilled. Discipline is what ensures that you continue taking action even when motivation is low. It is the ability to stay consistent when results are not immediate. And it is through this consistency that long-term success is built. Your future is not shaped by occasional effort, but by repeated effort. One strong day does not define your life, just as one weak day does not destroy it. What matters is the pattern you create over time. Consistency turns small actions into powerful outcomes. It is the accumulation of effort that creates transformation. Another important truth is that your future is deeply influenced by your standards. The standards you set for yourself determine what you accept and what you reject. If you accept low standards, you will tolerate mediocrity in your actions, relationships, and goals. If you set high standards, you begin to demand more from yourself, and this demand pushes you to grow. Ultimately, you are always in the process of becoming. Every day through your choices, you are shaping the person you will be tomorrow. There is no neutral ground. You are either moving toward growth or away from it. You are either building your future or neglecting it. When you fully understand this, your perspective shifts. You stop waiting for life to change you and instead begin changing your life. You stop hoping for a better future and start creating one. And in that realization, you discover something powerful. The future you desire is not distant or unreachable. It is being built right now. Through every decision you make, every habit you maintain, and every action you take with intention and responsibility. In the end, everything comes down to one simple truth: you are not a victim of your life. You are the creator of it. Your future is not decided by luck, timing, or circumstances, but by the choices you make every single day. Every habit you build, every standard you accept, and every moment of discipline you practice is quietly shaping the direction of your life. There will always be challenges, distractions, and reasons to delay your growth, but none of them have the power to define you unless you allow them to. What truly defines you is your response or willingness to take responsibility, to stay consistent, and to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. You don't need a perfect situation to start building a better future. You only need awareness and action. Awareness to understand that your life is in your hands, and action to prove it through what you do each day. Small steps taken consistently create powerful results over time. So instead of waiting for the right moment, decide to become the right person. The person who takes responsibility. The person who stays disciplined. The person who refuses to settle for less than what they are capable of becoming. Because the truth is simple and unchangeable: your future will always reflect the standards you live by today.